yesterday I was on the bus. I think it was yesterday, and I was sat on the bus looking back at all the other passengers, and I was looking at this woman, and she had, like a smaller build. And I was just thinking to myself, like, isn't that interesting that we're all different sizes? Like, what is it like to feel like this small or this big? It's like, I suppose we have like experienced that as we go throughout our life, as you grow up. but I was just looking at this woman, not in a creepy way at all, but just as a curious way of, I like people watching, I think, like, I'm gonna get into this, like, people watching is good. Like, this is actually something I really want to get into, because we watch animals, we watch birds in the sky, we feel this sense of joy when we see cute dogs on the street or cats, and we watch David Attenborough documentaries and shit like this. We love to watch animals, we love to watch nature, but people are scared to watch people. But people are nature like any other animal. So I'm going to get into this, but I'll come back to this bus story, which is not really much of a story, but so I was looking at this woman's lips, and they're just like, I don't really know how to explain this without sounding fucking weird, but there was another woman behind her that had like big lips, and I was just like looking back and forth between like, isn't this interesting? It's like, there's two people here, and the size of their lips and the size of their body or whatever is like different, and it's like, what I'm trying to say here is that it's like, we think that we are this body. It's like there's this kind of weird implicit belief or assumption that it's like we like created the body in some way. It's like, oh, this is who I am. It's like, I made this. It's like if you think about it logically, obviously it's like, you didn't make your body. Obviously, you didn't make, really, you didn't choose what size you were going to be or how big your lips were going to be. But, like, obviously we know that, but it's like, there's this, like, as you're, like, walking in, your moment-to-moment life, it's like, it kind of feels like, oh, this is who I am. We identify with the body so much that it feels like, it's like, oh, this is me and I created this. So what I'm talking about here with this bus story, which again is not really a story, but I'm talking about the inside of no self, realizing that there is no self. That if there is a self, it is everything. But there's not a separate, there's not a self separate from anything else. So I was looking at these two people and looking at their lips and then I shifted my attention and started looking at their eyes, And this was really amazing to see. It's like, and I'm not saying this is a new insight to me at all. It's like, you know, I have these kinds of like moments all the time where it's like, oh yeah, wow, like, yeah, this is the truth, isn't it? Fucking hell, this is fucking weird. So I was looking in their eyes, looking at their eyes, and the way that I saw it, it was like watching a nature documentary or watching birds or something. You know, it's like you're at the pier or some shit and you see seagulls and you look at the seagull's eyes, and it's like you just like look at this seagull and it's like there's not really like a self in that seagull. It's like it's kind of just like nature happening, you know. It's kind of just like, oh, there's a bird. Bird is a nature thing. Or you know, it's like, oh yeah, bird, that's a product of nature or whatever. I don't know if I'm really getting my point across here. I'm trying to like explain it with words. But the way that I could see this person's eyes moving about, it did not look like there was an entity behind the eyes controlling and deciding where to look and when to move its head and whatever. It's like reality was doing that, nature was doing that. There was no separate, there was no individual entity that was like, I'm moving my head, I'm gonna choose to move my head that way, I'm gonna look that way. And of course, you know, on the internal, private little bubble world that everyone experiences, it's like you experience the thoughts, you experience you experience decisions. You know, sometimes it feels very, very, very much like you don't experience the decisions. Like, you know, you don't experience the decision of like where to look. It kind of just happens. But you know, some of the time it's like there's a decision, and actually, you know, if you are very mindful, you can catch the decision in real time. It's like before you go to you know, like open the door, like turn the doorknob, you can like see the intention or the decision to open it. You can catch it very quick. But so you might think it's like, okay, that decision, that intention is like, you know, that intention is coming from an individual entity that's deciding to do it. And you know, you could look at it that way, but also you can look at it as just like, that is part of nature as well, of course. You know, like the decision to do something, it comes from this whole like web, this whole interdependency of everything else. You know, the decision to do something, open the door or something, it's like it's arising dependent on so many factors. You know, it's not just like one cause, and there's, if you actually look, there's not like an individual, an entity that is like the decider, the chooser or something. So when I was looking at this person's eyes, it's like, there's nothing behind it. There's nothing behind it. So you could say it's like, oh, reality's doing all this. But like, it's like when you look for the self, you can't find it. So it's very interesting. It's like just in this perception I had on the bus, it's like there's no one behind this. There's nothing behind it making it happen, but it is happening all by itself. And I guess, there's lots of different ways you can perceive this. It's like you can say it's like it's just God in all these different forms. It's just reality in all these different forms. Or, you can say it's just nothingness manifesting as the everythingness. And I don't know, man. There's that like Nisargadatta Maharaj quote, which I can't really remember, but it's something like, knowing that I'm nothing. What is it? I can't remember. I don't know, but it's something like knowing I'm nothing is wisdom, and knowing I'm everything is love, and between the two is where my life moves, or something like that shit. I don't know, man. That's a brutal misquote, but so yeah. And yeah, I guess I'll circle this back around to, how we like watch nature. We watch birds and animals and stuff. But when we look at people, we have a lot of self-consciousness. We're afraid to stare at people. And that's because we think that here I am staring at someone else that knows that I am staring at them. But that only happens when you think that you're a self. Let me try and explain this. You see, usually it's like we have this construct of a social self. And it's like that's where we're perceiving from. And this social self obviously is in duality and judgment. This is hard to explain, dude. Well, let me... Yeah, it's like, we exist... dude, how do I say this? Well, let's just say, two scenarios, right? Let's say you're looking at somebody, and then they turn their head and they lock eyes with you. Usually your like immediate reaction is to like look away and not keep eye contact. Because we have all these stories in our head. It's like, oh, if this person starts looking at me and I just remain staring at them, the thoughts come of like, oh, like, I'm being a fucking weird creep. Or, you know, it's like, oh, what do they think of me? Are they judging me? Or do they know that that I'm judging them in some way? Because, like, when you go about the world, it's like you're judging people. It's like, oh, this person's that way, this person's that way, this way, that way, that way. And, of course, there's, like, differentiation everywhere. There's all these differences, you know, it's like short, tall, skinny, fat, you know, young, old, whatever. There's all these differences, but that's just knowing. That's not, you don't have to judge that as good, bad, wrong, right, worthy, unworthy, adequate, inadequate, or whatever. Like, that's all judgment. But just knowing that there are differences, that's just like knowing that it's like, this is one finger, that's another finger, that's another finger, that's another finger, that's another finger, you know. So when you're looking at someone and someone turns their head and locks eyes with you, you feel all this like self-consciousness and like, oh, I got to turn away and whatever. Because if you just stay there and you don't move your head and you just eye gaze into this stranger's eyes, then it's like you see the self in real time there in your thoughts of the self that you are constructing and projecting onto you, and the self that you're constructing and projecting onto this other person. And you see that's all happening in the mind. And but if you're in a state where you've emptied out the self, if that's the right way to say it, where there's like nothing actually behind your eyes looking out, then, and, you know, if you're not located behind the eyes looking out at the world, then when this person looks and stares at you, then they're not actually staring at anything at all. Their gaze has nothing to land on if you don't have a self. And the other thing is, it's like when you don't have a self, you don't see self in others either. And so when someone looks at you and you look into their eyes, sure, everybody has their own thoughts and experiences that they've gone through, but it's the same awake awareness looking that is nothing. And so it's just nothing looking at itself. And yeah, again, it's like usually if this happens, we have some kind of like judgment of like, oh, I can't stare, that's rude, that's creepy, that's weird, that's you know, some way like an invasion of their privacy or whatever. And it's like, yeah, maybe to the ego, maybe to some people don't like it because it's like they think that you're, I don't know, doing something weird. But that's not who people are anyway. But when you don't have judgment inside yourself and you are that nothingness, then that is what your energy is in that moment. And so this person that you're looking at and just staring at them, they might not actually think anything of it because you don't have energy of judgment. You're not like looking at them with like a frown, like anger, or you're looking at them like sad or confused or, you know, whatever. Like, you don't have the judgment placing on them. So it's like they're looking at you and maybe they can't even figure out what you're doing, you know. It's like, and think about this, it's like a lot of us are oblivious to the kind of outsiders in the world that don't really have like a social role. Like, you know, sometimes it's like when you're on the bus and you just see like a raggedy old fat man or whatever, and he's just like, you look at him and there is like really like no self there, so it's like you kind of are oblivious to him, and it's like it's not you know that he's not gonna like judge you in whatever way, because you can just see, you can just feel the energy of him. Because he's kind of like outside of society, outside the social roles, where it's like, if you're planted in perceiving through a social self, then you look at this other person that clearly isn't in that social role or whatever, and it's like, so if you're in that, you're like, oh, this is irrelevant to me, you know, I'm playing the social game, and here's a person that isn't in that game, because you can pick up on that energy. And so it's like, I don't care if he's looking at me, because that doesn't affect my social self, because he's not in that social game. Do you see what I'm trying to say here? Is like, he's not in the social game. I'm trying to play all these social games, right? And so him looking at me or judging me doesn't affect this social ego at all, because he's not in that realm. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? I don't know. So when you are planted in the truth and you're not judging anybody or yourself, because why would you? It's all reality happening on its own, and you didn't choose it. Everything that's happening, including all the suffering and pain, is part of reality just happening on its own. And so everything is accepted. Why is everything acceptable? Because it is. And so when you just like reside in that acceptance, you know, and I actually love doing this with when I'm like on the bus and they're like you know, mothers with their baby or like toddler, and you know, of course, like babies and toddlers are fucking curious, because they're like, they've just come from the void, that they've just come from the nothingness, you know, they're very close to the unborn, the unmanifested, right? They're very close to it. They haven't developed an ego much yet, and so they're very curious, and they are more of a blank slate of consciousness than they're not. And so I like just like staring at babies, which sounds really weird, but it shouldn't be weird, man. This is what I'm saying, is like, this shit is not weird. It's like, we are one, dude. Like, we are the one same reality, looking out of each other, looking out of our eyes, you know? When you stare at someone, you're just looking in the mirror. Do you go to your mirror, do you go to your bathroom mirror and like look in the mirror and be like, oh no, like I can't make eye contact with myself, you know? It's like, I don't want to disturb this person in the mirror. It's like, bro, it's you. It's fucking you. But of course, Most people don't know that. So that is why it's weird. But of course, this is the truth anyway, whether people know it or not. So it's still happening. But yeah, again, there's the ego that's like judgment. But anyway, yeah, so I like, sometimes it's like babies I told on the bus, and I'll just like, look into their eyes, and maybe I'll just do a bit of like cheeky stuff. Like I'll just, maybe they'll like get their hand, and like a baby is always like with their hand, and I'll just like do the same shit. I'll just like kind of like mimic them and just like play with them like on the like other side of the bus, and just kind of like have fun as the same consciousness, having fun with myself. It's oh, it's brilliant, mate. It's fucking brilliant, dude. This is fucking brilliant. This is what we need, dude. This is what the world needs, man. Wake up. It's reality looking out your eyes, bro. So, that's really all I have to say for this video. If you want to fucking chat about this shit, and if you want help with any of this shit, then come book some time with me, one-on-one call, link in the description. And you can support me and help me out by liking the video and subscribing. And you can buy me a coffee if you want, link in the description. That would be greatly appreciated. I love coffee. And yeah, man, thank you for watching. Have a good one.